So building a tech business while maintaining your career. So how to validate your idea and build your business while thriving in your corporate career without burnout or overwhelm. So today in this masterclass, you will learn my strategy that I developed working with over 1,000 women in tech, how to start building your own business while maintaining your executive career. I'm going to teach you how to move away from struggling to find time and clarity on your next step or feeling overwhelmed by combining your high-pressure career with your entrepreneurial goals. By the end of the hour, you will learn my four-step weatherproof business formula and will feel ready to move forward and hopefully start building your own tech business without overwhelm and burnout. And I'm going to guide you each step of the way. So first of all, if you don't mind turning off all distractions while we're here, we're going to stay within the hour limit. And I like to go pretty fast, so make sure that you're taking notes. And don't hesitate to take screenshots of the things that you find helpful. You're always also gonna find the screenshot sign on some of the slides that I believe are key that you might to save for yourself. And if you want to connect with me on social media, you can also find me on LinkedIn or on Instagram at Ksenia Votinova. So feel free to share your opinion of this masterclass with me there. And if you haven't downloaded the workbook that I sent to you by email, there's a link in the chat now that you can access it and download it now. And it would be a great tool for you to follow along. So if you're like me, you probably want to know where we're going with this masterclass and what it's going to look like. So here's a very short summary of where we're going today. So we're going to start with the introductions, and then we're going to dive in straight into my four-step weatherproof business formula, which is the first step is the why, or defining your mission and purpose. Then we're going to go into the who, understand your ideal customer. Then the what, how to craft an irresistible offer, and the how, so how to actually build a profitable and scalable business model. But knowing that no matter how much education we get, it is nothing without execution, we're going to go into the next part, which is managing your time and energy. So how to actually make all of this happen while maintaining your high pressure executive job. And then finally, at the end, we're going to go into the live Q&A where I'm going to be answering all your questions on, and I'll be happy to answer as many as I can. And if your questions come up as I speak, feel free to type them in the chat. First of all, not to forget what your question was, and then secondly, to make sure that we address them. And if there are too many questions, we're going to try to address the ones that come up the most. All right, so let's start with the first part, the introductions. And so this masterclass is being hosted by Elevate Tech from Switzerland. So I'm going to give the floor to Lucia from Elevate Tech to present now, and then we're going to carry on with the masterclass. So Lucia, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much, Ksenia. I will share my screen to introduce Elevate Tech. So Elevate Tech is an association that aims to support minorities interested in technical fields, and it could be computer science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, but also physics or any other scientific topic. We host events such as meetups, tech talks, webinars. Many of them are in person, and it also creates a great opportunity for networking. Here we have some examples from the very early days of Elevate Tech, especially in 2019, where we hosted a hiring event, and we had many great companies joining, such as Google and Facebook. And these are examples from last year. We had a Women's Day at Amazon, which is also going to take place this year. This typically takes place in March. It's close to the International Women's Day, and it's a great opportunity to get to know the latest in the field and to network as well with professionals. We have an investing workshop, coding kids workshop at Google, astronomy lecture, and even a blockchain meetup at Relay. We also partnered with conferences. Here we have an example, Women in Data Science, Gen AI Zurich, and We Tech together. Here it's another example of one of our events at Julius Baer. And here are examples of our Astro Kids workshops. They are very interactive, and we really support the kids to experiment, to ask questions, and in the end, they do a lot of crafting and they understand by experimenting. We always get positive feedback here, such that it was the best thing I have ever done. Here we have a list of upcoming events in 2025, but we encourage you to visit our webpage, and we are also going to announce them on Meetup. We have, as I mentioned before, a Women Leaders at AWS, AI in Action at 6. This is going to have a speed mentoring sessions as well. Well, the first one is going to have CV reviews. They are both in March. AI workshops and many other events. Make sure to follow us on LinkedIn, and we will also be giving away a free ticket to the Gen AI Zurich conference this year. So also write to us if you have any questions. And with this, thank you, Ksenia. I'm going to give the word back to you.
Thank you so much, Lucia, for introducing Elevate Tech, and it's very exciting. And I'm going to reshare my slides now and introduce myself, and then you will understand why I'm running this masterclass in partnership with Elevate Tech, because actually our missions are pretty similar in working with women in tech and empowering women in tech. So when they invited me to run this masterclass today, I was super excited to create value for this community. So let me just get to where I was. And just a second to make sure that all my slides are downloaded. And welcome everybody who's joining us now. And so about myself. So my name is Ksenia Votinova-Arnaud. Double name, born in the Ural Mountains in the Soviet Union and married to a Frenchman here in Paris. So that's where the name is coming from. So I'm a business coach and a serial tech entrepreneur. And my mission is to help executive women in tech start their own businesses, thrive outside of the corporate world, and reclaim their freedom. And I will tell you a bit more in detail about me now, but I've coached over 1,100 clients by now, and a lot of them from big tech giants like Google, SAP, Salesforce, AWS, Adobe, Dell, and that's just to name a few. So my story, so I live in Paris for the past 22 years with my husband, my two daughters, ages 14 and 2, and I'm having a baby in a couple of weeks. I was born in the USSR, but since then I lived in 6 different countries, and now I speak 4 languages, English, French, obviously, Spanish, and Russian, my mother tongue. I learned English in the US when I was 16. I lived in West Virginia and went to high school there. And I also did my MBA at INSEAD Business School in France, here in Fontainebleau, suburbs of Paris, and also in Singapore. And I also spent 4 years as expat, living and working in Asia and in Argentina. So in Singapore, in Bali, completely different story. I worked there for a year, in Thailand, and in Buenos Aires. Now, about my business journey and what brings me here today. So 13 years ago, I left my 6-figure corporate job to become an entrepreneur and co-founded VPN, which is a tech startup. What used to be a tech startup, now it's a solid, profitable, multi-million-dollar company, and one of the leaders in the French and the UK market. So since then, I built 3 companies and acquired one, and built what I call a portfolio career as a serial tech entrepreneur, a business coach, and also an online educator. And this is why I'm here today. So as I mentioned earlier, I've coached over 1,000 clients. And I know that there's a lot of coaches out there, but I take my work seriously. So I'm actually a professional certified coach by International Coaching Federation, trained by Ericsson International School of Coaching in Canada. And also, I went through all the programs of Tony Robbins, who is to whom I'm a big fan and consider him my mentor. So so right now my main focus is working as a business coach for executive women in tech, building SaaS companies. And I also been working, and still do, for the past 8 years as a business coach for INSEAD Business School. So this is the school where I got my MBA, so my alma mater. And so I do business coaching only for them, and work there with executives on the programs in strategy, innovation, design thinking, marketing strategy, and leadership. So now a question I have for all of you that are here with us today. Can you imagine what it would feel like if you only said yes to the projects that truly light you up? Share in the chat, please, with me. Like, what did it feel like? If the work that you did, if the time you spend working was truly aligned with what makes you happy, lights you up, brings you the passion out of you. So to me, from my personal experience and also experience working with the clients, is launching a solid and profitable business is the single most powerful and strategic way to make an impact in the world while growing your income and freedom to life-changing levels. So I don't know why you showed up here today. It's Thursday night, and I know that you probably have lots of great things to do besides being here, but you're here for a reason. So I would love to know why you're here. And I'd like to make an educated guess. Maybe reason number 1 is you are curious if starting a business is for you. Reason 2, you are motivated to start your own business in 2025. And reason 3, you are frustrated with where you are right now, but determined to find a better way. So I'm going to run a quick poll right now, if you don't mind, to just try to understand who is here in the room. You're going to see it on your screen now. And if you don't mind answering this, picking one of the questions. Curious, motivated, frustrated, by determined. Okay, I think I see the people answering. Great. Okay, I see a lot of curious and motivated people. This is amazing. Nobody is frustrated but determined. This is amazing. All right. Yeah, a lot of motivated people to start your business in 2025. Well, you're in the right place in this masterclass, but also, whatever is your motivation, I fully support you. So if you already have a business idea and want to share it in the chat, and maybe if we have time, get my feedback on it later during the Q&A part, please do share. I'm a big believer that ideas are nothing without execution. So when you have a business idea, you just need to share it with the world as much as you can to get as much feedback as you can. So this is your opportunity to get feedback on your idea if you want to share with us. Now, let me dive in straight into the weatherproof business formula. So this is the formula that I've developed after working with over 1,000 clients from different roles and paths of life, business owners, entrepreneurs, startup founders, executives launching innovation projects for big corporations. And I worked, so a lot of those clients came from INSEAD Business School, and working with a lot of executives and a lot of professors on strategy and innovation and design thinking and leadership. I've realized that everybody wants to teach their one thing of, let's say, of the business area, and nobody actually wants to, simplify things in one clear roadmap of what exactly do you do to make sure that you give all the chances to your business. So I thought to myself, like, this should not be so complicated. Like, business is not so complicated. There's tools, there's roadmaps, everything is already available. So I did the work to put it into the 4-step plan of what is it that you need to focus on when you're starting your business. And this is what I'm going to share with you. And the weatherproof business formula for me is, it all starts with your why. It starts with, what is the reason that you want to start your own business? What is the reason that you want to become an entrepreneur? It is deeply rooted into your mission, into the purpose, into the different passions and interests that you have. And while this might not seem essential at the first glance, from my own experience being an entrepreneur for more than 13 years, I know that if your why is not strong enough, you're never going to last through all the obstacles and all the different challenges that are going to come up when you're running your own business. And believe me, there's going to be a lot. And a lot of them are going to be unexpected, especially the first few years. So you really need to have that strong reason to do it. And then that fuels into then a business system, which is, you look at who you want to solve the problem for with your business. What is it that exactly that you are offering to them to solve that problem? And then the how is, how do you make a profitable business out of it? And I'm going to walk you through all these steps, obviously very quickly, because we only have less than an hour today. But I will try to give you as many tips as I can so that you can already get started. So the first step is the why. What is your why, or what is the problem that you want to solve? So if you already know your why, please do share with us in the chat. Like, have you reflected already on this question? And thank you for sharing your business ideas in the chat. This is very great. I see a lot of AI ideas, so cannot wait to dive into them later. So working with my clients, I've developed a system of how can we start looking for this why, especially when it comes to a lot of people come to me and say, I really want to start my own business, but I don't have an idea. Like, where do I even find for ideas? A lot of people think that they need to partner with someone who already has an idea, or become a co-founder, or join a startup. And I truly believe that we all have great ideas within ourselves. And if you want to find your business idea, the best way is to look at all the resources that are already available to you. And there are many of them. So we start with the external resources. External resources are the different industries and sectors where you worked, or where you have experience, where you have contacts, where you have connections. Because you don't want to make things complicated for you. You want to get into the industry or area which is pretty easy, right? Then you can look at the trends and technology. So I see a lot of people are mentioning AI in the chat and their business idea. Well, obviously right now AI is a huge trend, so it makes absolute sense to leverage it. And also causes a social impact. Maybe not for everyone, but for some people, there are some, causes that are really important, and could be also a basis of of reflection for the business idea. Then there are your skills and expertise. We all have our hard skills, the ones that we list on our CV, and we also have specific areas of expertise that we can leverage. And it's always great to start there because you don't want to start from scratch, right? You want to go fast. And in order to go fast, you need to build on what you already have. Plus the soft skills. And there are a lot of studies that say that soft skills are actually even more important than hard skills. So this is also makes sense to look at. And then you have what I call your internal strengths and passions. So this is the things you're passionate about, or your ideal role of how do you see yourself in that business that you're going to build. Are you going to be a salesperson or a marketing person? Like, what is it that you bring to the table? Obviously, everybody wants to be a CEO, but when you're just starting a company, you're not as you can be a CEO, but you also take some kind of a functional role in there. Or activities that energize you, your lifestyle choices, or the company culture, which is going to be, in the beginning, is going to be the culture that you bring to your team, and your culture becomes company culture. And then lastly, values and causes. And I know that I've already mentioned them, and I took them apart here because I think they're still important, because we all have different values that are important to us. And our business needs to be aligned with those in order for us to have the momentum and to have the flow of building that business and not going against ourselves. So this could be your professional values or personal values or causes that you care for or the impact that you want to make. So combining these four elements and reflecting on them systematically, you can start coming up with the different ideas of, if you combine those, what could be the different business opportunities for you, or the different problems that you could solve for people. And doing this exercise with the clients, one day I tested something and thought, like, what if we feed all this data into ChatGPT? And I know a lot of you love AI here. So what if AI could, just look at our external resources, internal resources, values, passions, etc., and suggest the different ideas or the different areas we could look at. So I actually had really interesting results. So I developed them into this free guide that all of you can download, and you have a link to that in your workbook, or you can go to my website and grab it. So it walks you through the 7 steps of how you can actually do this exercise using ChatGPT and build from there. So if you want to try it out, you're welcome to do so. And yeah, please do let me know on LinkedIn or in replying to my email how it went for you. I would love to hear that. And yeah, this is just one of the quotes from those who tried this guide before. Now, if there are any questions about the first step, about the why, please do put them in the chat. The second step of the weatherproof business formula is the who. So what are the different client needs and pain points? So basically, who do you want to solve the problem for? And this is very important. This is about finding your niche, finding your ideal customer persona. And I see a lot of new entrepreneurs, new business owners doing this mistake all the time when they want to be everything for everyone. They say, oh, but actually my offer, my solution could serve anyone. And that is probably true. But by not having a very clear focus on the specific ideal customer persona, you're actually not able to target them well enough in order to create maximum value for them. So in order to, and you want to understand, to niche down to the specific ideal customer persona in order to better understand what are their deepest pain points or challenges or needs that are currently not being met that you could meet with your business and your business idea. So there are many tools to do that. One of my favorite tools where I like to get started is what I call your private investigation. So what you do is you find at least 10 potential customers that you can speak to in order to learn about their pain points. So you basically take this private investigator hat and just have a conversation with them without trying to sell anything, just to try to understand what the challenge is right now in this area of business that you're thinking of. And I promise you, you're going to get lots of insights and ideas that you would not think of yourself. Another great tool to use, and I'm sure a lot of you heard of it, is the customer journey map, which basically is a tool where you look at what are the different steps of the journey of my ideal customer persona right now in order to solve that problem. So the challenge that you learn that they have, what is the current way for them to solve that challenge? What is it that they do? What are the steps that they take? And by analyzing those steps, you can find what is the business opportunity to fix one of the steps on the customer journey by creating a solution, by creating a product or service that solves that problem. So one of the people who had attended my masterclass in the past, where I shared a similar the weatherproof business formula, said, I wanted to say thank you for the masterclass. You made me start talking to people about a startup idea to see if they would even want the service. My last business, I started without research and lost money instead of making it. So that's what happens to a lot of people. Actually, if the latest statistic that I've seen is 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And the biggest reason for that is that they didn't speak to their customers before they actually started building anything. So they were just investing money and building something in the blind without even talking to customers. And one of the stories I've been sharing recently is a client that I started working with who came to me and said that she just won the startup pitch competition in the business school, and her startup idea just, won the first prize, and it's so amazing. And now she's been developing it, and it's a software solution. So she came to me to say, I need help picking between the two software companies that want to develop the solution. And all of them say it's going to cost between 12 to 15,000 euros to create the prototype. And the first question I asked her was, okay, how many potential clients did you speak to if they actually want the solution? And her answer was, well, one, myself. And it's like, you're just about to lose 12,000 euros creating a prototype that has not been validated because you have no idea if anybody actually wants it. And this is not where I would start. I would definitely start talking to people first before you build anything. So she thanked me for saving her 12,000 euros with one conversation. And another client of mine, as I tell all my clients to start with customer interviews. This is the number one thing that we do when we start working before we even start developing what the solution going to be, what is going to be the product or service. So one of my clients came to me and said, I understand the theory that I need to talk to the clients, but I've searched everywhere. I searched Google, I searched YouTube. Nobody actually says what is the exact steps that you need to take to run those customer interviews. What are the questions to ask? How to approach people, where to find these people. So based on this feedback and some other feedback from my clients, I decided to create this free guide where I basically guide you through step by step what is it that you do to run those customer interviews. So if you wanted, you also have a link to that from your workbook or from my website. So it's not very long. It's maybe 10 or 15 pages, but you might find it valuable if you're serious about starting your business, and that will be your number one step, talking to people. Now, okay, if I just may get just a few comments or emojis in the chat, if you guys still follow and if you find this valuable, and if I can keep going. I hope I'm not overwhelming you with too much information. So the next step of the weatherproof business formula is the what, or what I call the irresistible offer. Okay, looks like there's nobody in there in the chat. Okay, let me end the poll so that you guys can see also the results. Okay, I'm gonna get going. Okay, this is helpful. Thank you. Extremely valuable. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, now the third step is the what. So what could be the first version of a solution that could solve your customer's problem? So if in the previous step, we did the customer interviews in order to understand what is actually the problem that your potential customers are facing. What are the pain points? What are the challenges? How could we create value for them? How could we help them with something that we're going to develop? Then our next step is to figure out, so how do we actually solve this problem? And again, don't repeat the mistake of my client who wanted to invest 12,000 euros into building a prototype, which I told her, like, how many times can you afford investing 12,000 euros, knowing that you'll have to iterate that prototype numerous times? So the prototype needs to be fast and cheap. It needs to be a very fast and cheap experiment. By fast, I mean it should not take you more than a week to develop. And by cheap, I mean it should cost you almost nothing. And especially the first couple of iterations. This very first version could be as simple as a slide deck, a picture, an app screen created in Figma or in Canva or any other tool that just models what it could look like, but not actually developing the app or the software, the solution. That would be a huge waste of money, because you want to, again, get customer feedback on the idea of the solution before you even start building anything. And when you're running that experiment and creating that prototype, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. First of all, you need to be clear on what are your different assumptions and uncertainties. So what is it exactly that you want to know? Like, what is the reason to running this experiment and creating this prototype? What are you going to ask the clients when you're going to show it to them? What is it that you need to know? And when we're building something, we all have lots of assumptions coming from our head and lots of things that we think are true, but we're not sure if they are. So we need to validate them. Secondly, you need to define your success metrics. That means, so how would you know that this experiment that you're running right now is successful? For example, if you show it to 10 people, and out of the 10 people, 5 say that it's a good idea. Is 5 your success metric? Like, is 50% enough for you to keep moving forward? Or does it need to be 70 or 80%? Like, you need to define in advance, what is your success metrics? How do you know if you keep iterating, keep moving forward, or do you need to pivot to something else? And then lastly, learn from all feedback and test again. So working with a lot of entrepreneurs, I know that we all tend to give more value to positive feedback and kind of like disregard the negative feedback and say, oh, they just didn't get it, or oh, this was not the right customer persona we talked to, and create lots of excuses to make sure that our baby, our idea, is still alive. Well, I would suggest a lot to look at all the feedback. And negative feedback could actually be gold for you, because this is how you know how you can improve, iterate, and what else you can test and learn from that feedback. So running one experiment is never going to be enough. You will want to do several iterations of your solution and show it several times to the customers, which could be exactly the same people to whom you talked in the first step when you run the customer interviews, in order to understand, if you're really hitting the goal, if you're really solving the problem the way they want it to be solved. So I see some questions in the chat. All right, I'm gonna take them later, and we're gonna get to the step number 4, which is the how. So now you validated your business idea, you validated the solution to the product or service that you want to build. Now, how do you make a profitable and scalable business out of it? The question I have for you, those who are in the chat, or here live with us today. So, what will you stop doing when you have a profitable business? And by profitable business, I mean business that could set you free and, give you the income that you need to live the lifestyle that you dream of. And usually when I ask this question, the the first thing that comes up is having somebody else clean the house for you. So I would assume many of you already have help at home, but I don't know if you have any other ideas, like travel the world. So what would you stop doing if you have a profitable business? Please share with us in the chat. Let's make it a little bit more fun. So getting back to the how, obviously, I would spend more time with my kids. Yes, that's a big one. So going back to the how, the best tool out there is still the business model canvas, and you can find the templates of those and the explanations of how to create that one all over the internet. So I'm not going to go into that today, although you will notice that the weatherproof business formula that I shared with you today, the why, what, who, and how system, is actually encompasses all the areas of the business model canvas. And the how part will be about your cost structure versus revenue streams. And obviously, if you want to create a profitable business, your revenue streams need to be higher than your costs. That's just the basic. So I'm not going to go deep into that here, but there are just one tip that I wanted to leave you with today is, so how do you make sure that you build a weatherproof business? And to me, a weatherproof business has this 5 characteristics. First of all, it's its resiliency. So it's a business that can survive in any economic environment. And now we just entered this winter season in the economy where everything is uncertain, and the resiliency in business is super important. And how do you build that resiliency? Well, that comes not only from the business systems that you put in place, but also from your why, where we started. Because as a business owner, you are your most precious asset. And if you run out of energy, if you run out of fuel running the business, your business is gone. So we circle back to the why, to your mission, to your purpose, to the reason why you're in business in the first place. Then there's obviously profitability. if your business is not profitable, no matter how much money you're going to raise, if you're going that path, it's not going to stay in business for long. Then scalability. That's a very big one for me because I speak to a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs who say, "Oh, I'm going to, for a side job, especially when you're an executive, I'm going to do consulting or I'm going to do coaching." And all of those business models are selling your time for money. And when you're selling your time for money, there's no leverage because we just have 24 hours in a day, right? And it's not scalable. When you're looking into building a tech or SaaS or a digital business, the scalability is huge, right? So one of the key questions to ask yourself about your business idea is how scalable is it? And then the fourth element is leverage or using tech. So AI right now, definitely leverage AI. This is what everybody's doing, and we're just in the very beginning of this AI trend and technology that is being developed, and it's just amazing at the speed at which it is going. And I had a conversation recently with a business owner. She's been running her tech business for a couple of years, and she's been sharing how she's been, struggling. The first few years are never easy. And we talked about my journey with the VPN, which started back in 2010. And she said, well, it was probably so easy for you because it was just the beginning of the VPN services back then. You were among the first in the market. It was so easy to build that business. And I thought about that question. I said, well, actually, it's never easy. And it might have been easy back then because we were the first ones to the market, but we didn't have all the technology that we have today. And if I would be in the same condition starting that business today, I think we would go 10 times faster or 100 times faster because of AI, because of automation, because of everything which is available right now, almost for free. So don't think that, it was other times were better than today. There is no better time to start than today. And today we have lots and lots of advantages, which is tech that needs to be leveraged. And the last component is fun and growth. So it needs to be a business that is fun, that you look forward to waking up in the morning and doing the work, and that you feel like you are growing. I had a conversation recently with an executive from Google. We were talking about layoffs and different packages that were offered to them, including to start their own business. And she said, well, I just don't have a business idea. And the only idea that I have is I like doing yoga, so I could be a yoga instructor. It's like, well, it could be your interest and your passion, but it's not necessarily something that is going to help you grow in the long term. It's probably not a good idea to leave your job in Google to become a yoga instructor. It's like, yes, this is exactly what I figured. This is not exactly it. So, consider that all of you here are ambitious professionals. A business or a side business should be something that corresponds to who you are already, something that you have fun doing, and something that also helps you grow further. Now, and yeah, talking about profitability, one of the other tools that my clients love is the revenue models cheat sheet. So I actually took what we're using in INSEAD and deepened it further and compiled the 40 different revenue models that profitable businesses are using right now. So you can also download it on my website or through your workbook. If you want to get some ideas of, what could be the different revenue models, what could be the different ways that you could monetize your business. So here's again the snapshot of the weatherproof business formula. And yeah, and as I said, all the guides are available on my website, kseniavotinova.com. And there's more tools in there if you want to check them out. So if you could just give me yes or emoji in the chat if this was helpful so far. I've just went very fast through the weatherproof business formula that I teach to my clients in much longer time than that. And probably to go really deep, I'll have to take 10 hours. But I just wanted you to have something that you can already get started with right now. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. All right, so let me dive into the last point about managing your time and energy before we get into the Q&A. So as I said, working with a lot of people, coaching over 1,000 clients, by now I've realized that education, knowledge, theory is nothing without execution. If you cannot actually commit to doing the work and taking the first step and doing something about it, it's still a waste of time. So you need to have a plan now that I know 53% of you said that you're motivated to start your own business in 2025. So now what I want you to do is to understand what could be your next step. So where to find time, stay productive, and avoid burnout when balancing work and building a business. And I assume most of you are in full-time jobs right now. So you really need to find that way, that leverage of how do you actually find a time. So where to find time for a side business, or to be more precise, how to make time for a side business. These are some ideas, and I don't want to look like I know it all. It's just some of the examples from myself and from my clients. Wake up earlier, use your lunch break time. I've actually done that myself. Commit, but we have 2-hour breaks in France, so that was easy. Commit to 20 minutes to 1 hour in the evening. Replace Netflix nights with working nights. Dedicate time on the weekend. Take time off work to do the sprint on your business project. I've also done that in the past when I took a 2-week vacation just to dive in deep and go full-time sprint on my business idea. And or even 20 minutes a day compounds if you get started and commit to daily action. And I actually have a client who okay, she was an executive client in tech. We worked on her project, but she also mentioned that she had the dream of writing a book that she started and she abandoned. And it was a novel, it was a fiction book. And she just could not find time for it because, she had a toddler at home and she felt like all her free time needs to go with her child. And I told her, how much time does your husband spend in the toilet every evening? Excuse me. It's like, do you think you can close yourself in the toilet for 20 minutes as men do and write your book if you have to? Can you find 20 minutes a day to just make progress? And that's what she did. She scheduled 20 minutes every night after she put her daughter to sleep and started writing a book. And guess what? Her book was published this year. I wasn't in the first page among the people that she thanked for writing this book. That was amazing. I actually really liked her book too. Well, it's in French. So if anyone speak French, let me know and I'll recommend the book that my client wrote. A very nice novel. Anyways, but that's just an example to show you that that is possible. You can make progress even with just 20 minutes a day if you commit to it. So here's my own personal example from 2 years ago. So I started working on my third business when my baby turned 3 months old. And in 6 months of dedicating 2.5 hours per day on weekdays, and 4 hours per day on weekends, I was able to create my online course, finish my book, build my brand on LinkedIn to top business coaching voice, set up the whole business, and then scale down, but still run my other two businesses, which is the VPN and my coaching work at INSEAD. So now what I want for you is to take action. So you need to decide where will you get the time on your schedule. Calculate how many hours per week can you allocate to your business idea to start developing your business, and then schedule it on your calendar and commit to it. For example, a very good tip is to find an accountability partner, somebody who is also doing it, or commit to it publicly. And I see that Sarah is committing to no more social media. That is actually really good because you can save so much time when you're not on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else. And if you want to commit to something publicly with us here, is still here in this masterclass, and share it in the chat, you're welcome to. That is going to be your public commitment. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of productivity hacks that I like to use. And I'm trying to go faster. I've been sharing too many stories, so it looks like we're going to be running out of time. So how to maximize the limited time that you have. 3 tips. 1 is time blocking compounds. 2, batching and building systems. And 3, 80-20 rule versus the 3 to thrive. And I'll explain the 3 to thrive to you later. So the first one is the time blocking. So time blocking is doing the same activity repeatedly putting it in the same time block. So what easy time block can you commit to today? Can you schedule, I don't know, 1 hour on a Saturday where you just do one specific task and as a deep work? Or even if you commit to 20 minutes a day, that is 10 hours a month or 120 hours a year. Imagine how you could progress if you put those hours in. And I always recommend to start small because you don't want to overstretch yourself and commit to something that you will not be able to do consistently. So start small, just 15 to 20 minutes a day. And then as you start setting this routine, as it becomes natural to you, you're just going to scale that time to 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, etc. Second, batching or building systems. So what activities can you batch? You schedule them in your time blocks to avoid the switching costs. So that's how you go faster. Then you build systems around them so that you can delegate them later. And then you start leveraging other people's time as soon as you can. And obviously, all of us are here in tech. So if there are things that you can automate with tech, even better. Like this is how you move faster. And then the third one is the 80-20 rule or the 3 to 5. So all of you probably know what the 80-20 rule is when you create 80% of value in 20% of time. And you can always find the activities that are really moving the needle for your business, that are really making a difference, and focus only on those 20% and basically don't do anything else. Although, in my experience, a lot of people are doing the opposite. They like to do the easy tasks that don't really move the needle, and this is where you're wasting your time. And also be clear on your 3 to thrive or your 3 top goals, and I'm going to explain the system that I use behind that just right now. And so remember that you also have the workbook. So all of this is in your workbook in a bit more detail that you might want to go through after the masterclass. And there's the different questions that you can ask to move forward. So how to make progress without overwhelm, where to focus to launch your business while you're still employed? First of all, you start with a goal in mind. So for those of you who want to launch your business this year, 2025 just started. What is your top goal for 2025? As Napoleon Hill said, a goal is a dream with a deadline. So you set the deadline and you start with a goal for the year. And then you reverse engineer your roadmap. So here's a 3 to Thrive system that I like to use. You decide for your top 3 goals for the year. So if you achieve those, you would know that you moved forward. This is like your success rate. And then after you have those 3 goals for the year, then you decide what is going to be the 3 top goals for each quarter of the year in order to hit those 3 goals for the year. And then you break it down even further. And then you decide on your 3 to Thrive for each month of the first quarter of the business, of the year, in order to hit the targets of the top 3 goals of that quarter. And then the last step you already probably understood, you split your first month into 4 weeks and then decide what should be the top 3 goals for each week of that month in order to hit the monthly goals. So this is how you reverse engineer of how do you actually hit your yearly goal, starting with the immediate next steps of the next week. And then you focus on the immediate next step. So using your workbook, you can now create and draft your action plan by using these 3 steps, using the 3 to Thrive system, which actually I did not create. I learned it from Tony Robbins. And I've been using it in the past at least 5 years, and it's really amazing. So I hope you will try it and you will let me know if that works. And the last thing I want to leave you with is remember to add some me time in your calendar. Where will you get the energy to fuel your entrepreneurial ambitions? As I said, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you're your biggest asset, and you need to make sure that you're protecting your energy, you're protecting your passion, you're doing things for yourself that help you create value for others. So if needed, if you're not doing it already, also block some time on your calendar for yourself to get that energy that will help your creativity. And I believe in you. You can absolutely have it all, and I'm absolutely sure that you can do it. So here we are. I am done with all the content that I wanted to share with you today. I'm happy to take all the questions if you guys have questions. And as I said, you can find more information on my website. I have other resources. I also have what I call an inbox club. It's basically every Thursday afternoon, I send a newsletter with some of the latest tips on the things that I've been working on and wanted to share with my audience. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn, where I post daily, and on Instagram. So let's see if there were questions. And if you want to ask me a question live, you can also raise your hand, and I'm just going to take the question. Were the questions in the beginning? Okay, we just said with the business, my business idea is to provide AI solutions for non-IT companies.
I collected some more questions from the beginning.
Sure.
If you'd like, I could get
Okay,
them.
let's do that.
One of them would be from Sarah, and it's about engaging with potential customers to get their feedback. And she's asking, I can't imagine it will be easy as a complete stranger to reach out to companies and ask the personnel to divulge private company info. So what would you do if your potential client would be a corporation?
Right. So that's why I mentioned in the beginning that your business idea needs to be easy in terms of it needs to be in the sector, in industry where you already have experience and you have connections. Because the easiest way to reach out to people is when you already have either connections in those companies or have people that can introduce you. Obviously, if you're, cold calling them, it's going to be really hard. So you need to find a way how to have that contact so that people would want to speak to you. If you have absolutely no one, in that industry or that company or anyone who could make an introduction, your second option is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great tool to connect to people. So you can reach out to people in those organizations, probably not the CEO or the top management, but somebody who can still answer your question, and try to create a connection with them, try to create like a friendly contact with them so that they will want to help you. And make it also very clear that you're not selling anything right now, that all you want to know is just to try to understand, get some insights about the challenges, the problems to solve. So don't make it sound like it's a sales pitch, because especially on LinkedIn, there's so many people pitch slapping in the DMs that everybody afraid of that. Was that helpful, Sarah? Did it answer your question?
Yes, we don't really see an answer from Sarah in the chat, but we could maybe.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Okay,
it
great.
was clear. I know that they have intellectual property and confidentiality and whatever. So depending on the industry, it will be difficult. But if you know someone, obviously you can then do a bit of small talk and get the info indirectly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I assume you can always sign the confidentiality agreement, if you want, if they would allow you to share more information with you. But, you can always start with smaller questions, right? To see if you're reflecting in the right direction before you dig in deeper for questions that actually require access to their intellectual property. Okay. What other questions?
We had 2 more questions from Rene. So one of them says, realizing that I cannot do it all by myself, there are parts of this business process, I suppose, where she's not the expert. Your thoughts on partnerships at the beginning of the process. So what would be your thoughts of getting partnerships to get a business started?
Is Renee still here? Can you go on audio or on camera? I would like to understand, what do you mean by partnerships?
I'm here. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So looking for, I guess, I don't know if you'd be giving away equity or whatever, if they'd be, investing,
Okay.
or if you'd be partner, really finding someone else, because there are obviously pieces of this that my
Okay.
business that
So business
I don't
partners.
know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're talking about business partners. Okay.
Or versus having investors that utilize their resources.
Right.
Somebody had mentioned about outsourcing, but then you gotta think about what comes before that, the legalities and
Right.
protecting.
Okay. So I would be very careful with business partnerships and like even bringing on investors. When you're giving away equity, you're giving away a part of your baby. And it's not easy to find the right business partner. And each partnership is like marriage. And if you make a mistake there, it's going to be very painful for you. And most of the people make mistakes. Jumping too quickly, thinking, oh, I cannot do it on my own, especially like in tech. So I had a client, she was convinced that she needs to get a CTO who would actually develop the whole thing, and to whom she was willing to give equity. And the first CTO she signed the agreement with hopefully, like luckily there was a clause that he didn't get the equity until it vested, and until she got some results. But as soon as in the beginning, everybody seems very motivated, but when it comes to to actually doing the work, it could be a completely different picture. So unfortunately for her, that CTO did not do what he was supposed to do. So she had to stop that relationship. She hired a different CTO on the same conditions, was exactly the same story. And then, she realized that that was probably not the right way to go, because the person you partner with, you need to know them really well. And I co-founded my tech startup from the person I've known all my life. He's a part of my family. So that was a very easy decision. And he was the tech guy. So that was easy for me. I took on all the business, he took all on the tech. But I knew that I could completely trust him 100%. We had the same values, we had the same objectives with this business. And I knew that he's, never going to do something behind my back that would make me regret this business relationship. So I would be very, very careful there. And before you get into raising funds, bringing on investors, or sharing the equity for your business, I would explore other options. Crowdfunding or volunteers. I have quite a few clients, especially when the products are related to something like social impact. You can get volunteers to do things for you for free, or you can even get like university students who want to do like an internship or practice their skills of building something, or participate like in hackathons where others are developing something for you. So there's actually lots of resources out there that you can leverage if that's about tech. So I would be very careful
So
about that.
then being very vague then at that point as to what my concern is that, if they're not invested into the business, or if you haven't hired them on as an employee or some sort, then what's
Yeah.
just to say that they're
Well,
just going to run with what you.
Well, what I see a lot of founders do is, well, and obviously I'm not here to give you legal advice, right? But you can create some kind of a contract where there are specific milestones that they need to hit in order to get their equity, if you decide to go that way. And it's
Okay.
usually not immediate. It's probably like 6 months to a year, until you can get that validation that they are the right person. But you will have to speak to like legal people in your country to help you with that, if that's
Yeah.
the direction that you want to take.
I really appreciate that that you brought up the university students, because I used to be a professor at a university, and that actually would be a good place, especially the techies that are
Yeah.
well, actually my problem isn't with the tech part, it's that they're just another portion, but um they're kind of still so out there, they don't form the idea of like, I want to do this as a business or something, or take it from you. um so that's a really good suggestion, thank you.
Okay. Well, you're very welcome.
There is one more question from the chat. So you mentioned the importance of setting time aside for developing your business idea. But what if time is not the issue, but rather the fact that the person has no job or no paycheck at that point, and then there is this struggle between the focusing to get a job to pay the bills versus the time you invest into developing this business? How would you handle it then?
Right. Well, what I usually say is, yeah, you need to get your finances together before you get into entrepreneurship path. Like you need to have a plan B, especially in this economy. So yeah, I would say, if you don't have a financial plan of how you're going to make this happen, because the normal case scenario would be you're probably going to go without any profit for the first year. So basically, you're going to be working for your business for free and you need a plan. So either you do it on the side of your corporate job, or you have enough savings that can support you, or you have, something else or some passive income that can support that runway while you're developing your business. Because even if you start, getting your first revenues, which I hope for you, you will still want to reinvest them in your business to make it grow, a little bit faster. So in your situation, yeah, I would probably find a way of, if you don't have access to any funds, like I know that in France we have like a lot of the different state funds that can sponsor companies in the early stages. So if you don't have access to anything like this, you will probably need to get a job that will allow you to work with your business in parallel. Like otherwise, I don't see how you can survive and feed your family if you don't have that income stream. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I kind of figured that. Any insights, all the side hustle jobs, affiliate marketing, and all that kind of stuff, which I know I could whip up and put up that are any of them really worth the time, the investment,
Okay.
away from just
So
like maybe finding contract work or something like that.
Okay, so affiliate marketing and all those things usually not very scalable. So I would go back to like what I shared with you today and ask yourself the question of like, are you selling your time for money? Is that a scalable thing? How profitable is it? And you want to have enough leverage in that business that eventually this is something that is a system that can work for you while you sleep. This is something that can be automated or delegated. Um, so, not all businesses are the same. And I preach businesses that can be resilient, scalable, and profitable, and that you can eventually turn into a passive income for yourself because you have the team, you have the automation, you have the technology, and you have enough market to make sure that this business is growing.
I was kind of talking about meaning like quick side hustles to get through not being able to pay bills and that.
Oh, okay. I get
Um,
it.
you,
All
you
right.
know what I mean? Something that's quick and easy. I can get up, I can get it going, and then or should I be focusing on? I've kind of shifted
Yeah.
a little bit looking at
Okay. I get
contract
the
work
question
and stuff.
better. So actually, what a lot of my clients doing is before they actually build a tech or build a SaaS solution or something digital, they start with testing the ideas through just like one-on-one consulting. So yes, this is selling time for money, but it also helps you to validate the idea, validate the product or service that you're selling and or planning to sell, and not actually build the tech behind it, but actually be the tech, if you know what I mean. Kind of like be the person behind the scenes who delivers the results that you can eventually automate. So that could be a way of, finding clients and do something that contributes to your business idea right now, but generates income for you. And while you do that, you're going to learn a lot about your customer pain points, about how exactly the solution needs to look like. So you can build in parallel the product itself.
So like getting on like content development,
Yes.
getting on a site and offering that.
Yes.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome. Okay, I see a question from Nicoletta. What is
Yes.
better
Can I
received?
also ask? It's
Oh,
me.
yeah, it's you. Okay.
Yeah. So I have two questions. One is what I wrote already. What is better received from your experience to go with the webinar or to have a Zoom like you are doing right now when you are trying to get some leads into your product or into your offer? That's the first question. And then the second one is, I've been I've been juggling with corporate and open my own business since now 1 year. And now I decided to fully dedicate myself for this. But the only issue is that I'm a sales and business developer with global experience for 25 years. And I want to go for technical sales. I want to go for technical trainings for entrepreneurs, strategies, and business plans and mentoring. The question is, how niched should I be? How small should my niche be? Because if you are, like you said at the beginning, if you are taking all the tech companies, then of course it could be wider, the possibility to get more clients, but you could also lose some of them by not focusing on only one, like maybe automation or SaaS or something like that. So what is your opinion about that?
Right. And is your product, is that kind of like a consulting offer in the beginning?
Exactly. Consulting offering. Yes. A tailored on the company. So.
Right. So I actually get this question a lot. And so the first thing where you need to start is to understand, how much time can you actually sell to the companies? So what is your max, right? Imagine the best case scenario. How much time can you sell for how much money? Like, what is your best outcome in this phase of developing your business? And then, I would go as niche as possible to create your offer, because when your offer is very general, the price of it is lower. And in case you haven't, so there's a great book I want to recommend is, I don't know if you've heard of Alex Hormozi.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
He has this book, 100 million offer, and there's...
I have it, yeah.
So he explains that all in that book. The more niche you are, the more specialized you position yourself, the more you can charge. And the easier it is for you to attract your customers and to speak to them directly, because you kind of like know what they need, etc. But it's hard to niche down. Yeah. Nobody likes it. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm just going to lose so many opportunities. But this is actually very wrong. Like the more specific you could be, the better it's going to be. It's easier it's going to be for you to get started. Although make sure that you still have a big enough addressable market in that niche. Because if you niche down so much that you can only speak to, there's only 3 companies out there who qualify, maybe that's not enough.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a balance between being very niche, being very specific, and the business opportunities that are still available to you. But as I said, as you calculate how much time you can actually dedicate to that, because you're selling your time for money, you will realize that, how many clients can you actually service in the first year.
Yeah. I have different plans. So I have plans for face-to-face trainings, but then I have also plans for online trainings, and also establishing like a consultancy, passive income, like with more entrepreneurs that can from time to time decide that they want to have one-to-one sessions, and then to create some once per week, once per month, some meetings or something like that. But yes, you are right. That's the only struggle I have. I'm based also in France, like you are, but I'm in Lyon. And I'm Romanian and I want to do everything in English. So and that's one
That's not
struggle.
a problem, right? English is great, but the thing is like, if I could give you one tip would be, pick the niche that speaks to you the most, that you're the most passionate about, where you feel like you can create the most value, which is also the easiest for you to deliver, where maybe you have the best access, and then just focus on this for 1 year of just becoming really exceptionally good at it and being well known for this, that everybody knows that Nicoletta is doing this trainings on this topic and she's the best in the field in France, or I don't know what like your market is in Europe, right? And then when you make a name for yourself doing this, then you can add additional products and services. But if you're going to start focusing on 10 different things that you have on your mind right now, you're not going to be good at any of those. So you're going to have like very poor results in many fields, except of having like amazing results in just one niche.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. For your question on Zoom versus webinar, I would start with Zoom because it creates like a better personal connection with people.
That's also what I thought. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. So shall I just take, if Lucia is still there, can I just maybe take one last question? And then if I didn't get to answer your question, feel free to DM me on LinkedIn. I would love to continue this conversation with you. But I would like to let everyone go. So maybe just one last question.
Sure, we have one more question from Yenika. How do you determine if you need to seek funding versus bootstrapping your tech startup?
Right. Interesting question. I guess that very much depends on your own situation and also on your own preferences. I'm a big fan of bootstrapping and keeping the control of your business as long as you have. So not raising any funds unless you really, really need to raise those. And most of my clients are the same, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs that do the same. So the less control that you can give to others and like the more control that you can keep for yourself, the more power you have in your business. So yeah, it's difficult to answer this question because you would really need to decide, first of all, like what is it that you're comfortable with yourself? And then secondly, it also depends on your tech startup, what exactly is the idea? If you need a lot of money to develop that technology, and you have properly validated it with customer interviews and first experiments to make sure that there's a need for that in the market, that it's an actual challenge or a pain point that you're solving, that there's going to be demand for it after you launch. So if you need to raise a lot of money, then yeah, you'll have to go look for funding. Like if it's, you are developing the next AI, for example, you're probably not going to be able to bootstrap it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm at a place where I've done the customer kind of feedback and interviews, and I've also done the prototyping kind of myself. But I was thinking at some point, I've looked into the investment of the tech, and it's pretty substantial because it does have some AI and some machine learning. And so I didn't want to give up equity in the beginning.
Yeah.
But there's another route in terms of like grant funding too as well.
Yeah.
Is that still an opportunity for women in tech or women
Well,
in companies?
grants are great. Grants are a great opportunity. Then you also have crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is when you pre-sell your solution to potential customers before building it. One of the companies I work with, like they pre-sold the thing for 3 million euros before they even produced anything, just through a crowdfunding campaign.
Okay. And when you crowdfund, you have to obviously provide them a value, some sort of value, right? So it's not equity, but what is there?
It's not equity. It's basically access to your product as an early user.
Okay, got it.
And maybe some additional perks, like I don't know what additional bonuses you can add to that.
Okay.
You know, it could be as simple as, I don't know, throwing a party for the early users with the founders or something like this.
Something creative, yeah,
Yeah,
something that.
creative.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining. We stayed over 25 minutes on the Q&A, but I'm so happy that I got to meet you all. So do connect with me on LinkedIn, and or Instagram, or a bit less active. And yeah, I hope that this was valuable to you and that you learned something new. And I'm wishing you the best of luck building your businesses and launching your business ideas in 2025. And definitely keep me posted. Send me your news and tell me how that was helpful and how you're advancing. I don't know if Lucia or Linda, you want to say a few words before we say goodbye?
Well, first of all, thank you very much to you, Ksenia. I think it was a great talk and very insightful for most of us, as I can see from the chat. It was really nice. And also don't forget to follow us, the Elevate Tech team on LinkedIn, and to check out our website for future events.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. And yeah, it was a pleasure, and have a beautiful evening, and hope to see you at a different occasion.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.